Hello everyone, and welcome to my Platinum Trophy Collection video. In this video, I'll be taking you through the list of Platinum trophies that I've earned throughout my long PlayStation gaming journey. My collection spans all the way back to the PS3 era when trophies were first added. So let's kind of go through and I'll kind of explain what I played back then and what I got. So back then, I didn't really play for Platinum trophies or trophies in general. I just played games for fun. I did get a few platinum trophies along the way, as long as you'll see, some PS3 titles that I earned. But mainly, I played for fun since I've had this account since I was since 2009 when I was just a teenager. So here's the start of the trophies, and as we scroll up, we will get to our first platinum trophy that I have on this list, which is for Assassin's Creed 2. Now, many of you may remember this game as being one of the best Assassin's Creed games ever made. It's definitely very iconic in the series, and earning this platinum trophy isn't overly difficult, but it does have a bit of a grind with the 100 Feathers trophy to collect. But aside from that, this game was very fun and was one of my favorite games all time back then. Moving on, the next platinum trophy that I have on my list is for Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. Now, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time is actually a classic game on the PS2, and it was remade for PS3 with trophy support. It came in a disc with the trilogy of the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, and I got the first game platinum. Moving on, I got into a bit of a Prince of Persia grind. So I played a bunch of games. The next platinum trophy I ended up getting was for Prince of Persia, The Forgotten Sands. Now this one kind of blends like classic platforming and some different combat mechanics that have some elemental magic associated to them. And playing this platinum is pretty straightforward, not overly difficult. Most likely the most difficult trophy would probably be for defeating the final boss without taking any damage. So that was my next one. After that, on my list is Prince of Persia. This is the 2008 Prince of Persia, and this is actually the very first platinum trophy I ever achieved that I then went back to and got some epilogue trophies that were added later on. But this game is so different. It has like a different, unique art style. It's visually stunning. It's totally different take on Prince of Persia, but one very beautiful and very enjoyable. And most likely the hardest trophy is for completing this in under 12 hours. So moving on, I played a bunch of other games, mainly for fun. It isn't until Final Fantasy 13-2 that we see my next platinum trophy. So Final Fantasy 13-2 is actually the second entry in the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy. It plays with time travel. It offers a kind of a mix of time travel and some strategic combat. It's improved from the first game, and it follows the two characters, Sarah and Noel, as they try to resolve the timeline and fix things from being broken. There's multiple different endings in this game, so there's one trophy associated to that. So you have to basically do 100% of the timeline in order to get the platinum. So after that, I ended up getting Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 3. Now I'm a big Naruto fan, and I like a lot of anime, as you'll see later on. But this is my first anime platinum, and it was for Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 3. This game is, at the time, was beautifully stunning, and it incorporated a lot from the anime, including these amazing boss battles that in order to get the platinum, you had to get S rank on. But yeah, it's a beautiful game and a great combat. So after that, I ended up getting the last game in the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy platinum for Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy 13. This game was pretty unique. It totally changed what Final Fantasy 13 and 13-2 combat was to a totally different, unique experience. This game had like an in-game clock for like the world ending, and you had to kind of make sure that you did certain tasks at certain times to get the platinum because everything was on like a bit of a time limit. So this game was a enjoyable platinum, and it doesn't take very long. Probably the hardest trophy is for Desert Dragon Slayer for defeating the Arrow Knight that resides in the Dead Dunes. So that basically kind of completes my PS3 platinum trophies. I'll have to go back and get more because I'm very close on a few. But now we get to my next platinum trophy, which is for Final Fantasy VII Remake. And it's improved with stunning graphics, new combat system, and it also expanded the story of Final Fantasy VII. And now this is part of a trilogy that we've only got two games so far out of. So this one kind of takes place in one part of Final Fantasy VII and just really fleshes it out. Very enjoyable. Combat, not overly difficult to learn, but very fun. And probably the hardest trophy, or maybe one of the most memorable trophies, is for Dress to the Nines for getting all of the bridal candidate outfits. So after Final Fantasy VII Remake, we got Spider-Man Remastered. Now, this Spider-Man game is one of the best Spider-Man games that's ever been made, maybe the best, and it's pretty straightforward platinum. All you got to do is basically finish 100% of the game, and I Heart Manhattan for completing 100% of the districts is the hardest trophy that there is. So after that, I got Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. So this is just the sequel to the Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man game. It's not as long, and it just follows Miles Morales and story. So the story is shorter, and the platinum is not hard. The hardest thing to get is probably 100% completing all the districts, but the map isn't as big as the first one. So very fun and enjoyable one. Now I have Final Fantasy VII Remake. So this is the PS5 version that I already platinum. I ended up auto popping this because I transferred my save data. But what's to mention in this one is the intermission is exclusive to this PS5 one, and this was added afterwards. Adds a new character and Yuffie to play in her own story. Very fun, and learning her mechanics is so different than in the first one because in the first one aerial combat wasn't that good, but Yuffie's pretty good with aerial combat. So it adds another layer to the combat, and it was a good taste before the sequel came out. After that, I ended up getting Stray. Stray is pretty unique. Like, it's not a very long game. It's a indie game. I think it's well known at this point. But you just play as a stray cat, which explores this like dystopian cyber city, and there's a lot of mystery to it as you play along. But it's very enjoyable. Hardest trophy probably is I Am Speed for completing the game in under 2 hours, and then there's another one for like taking no hits while going through this one part. But other than that, there's nothing hard about this, and it's very enjoyable. It doesn't take very long, maybe 6 hours or so. Now we get to a big platinum of mine. Now this is probably my favorite platinum I've ever gotten. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now this is the sequel to the remake, and this game took me about 200 hours to platinum. Primarily because it does actually take that long, but another reason is because it's so much fun. They improve on everything from Final Fantasy VII Remake, including the combat. And the hardest trophy is probably for Chadley Simulations, like virtually renowned for completing all those. But aside from that, you have to get like 100% on all mini games and side quests as well. So this game got me basically into platinum trophy hunting, and why I'm making content now. So after Final Fantasy Rebirth, I got a fairly easy platinum. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is one of my other favorite animes aside from Naruto, and Dragon Ball Z. Grew up watching this as a child, so this is the first platinum I've ever gotten for a Dragon Ball Z game. Definitely be looking to go back and play some of the older ones and get platinums on those. But this is pretty straightforward, and it just retells the story of Dragon Ball Z, all the way from the beginning of the Saiyan saga to the Buu saga, and it's got a little bit of RPG elements to it. But the hardest trophy is probably for defeating the secret boss in Mira. So once I finished Kakarot, I started going back and cleaning up some PS4 platinum trophies I hadn't gotten. The first one being Final Fantasy 15. Now, Final Fantasy 15 is like a big open world game that follows like Noctis and his friends as they try to reclaim their kingdom. Um, it's basically like a bros game, if that makes any sense. But yeah, it's got some cool RPG elements to it, and it's not overly hard. I do remember that I started this and then didn't finish, came back to it and ended up finishing it. The hardest trophy is probably for defeating the Adamantoise, um, unless you know the cheese strategy to beating it, which I didn't at the time. It took me a few hours. So the next one I cleaned up is Jedi Fallen Order. Now, this is a great Star Wars game. It follows Cal Kestis as he tries to like rebuild the Jedi Order and while avoiding the Empire. Not a hard trophy, other than trying to like come get 100% on every planet's map because the maps is terrible in this game. But once you're able to explore everything, you basically that's the hardest thing to get, and it's a pretty straightforward platinum with a fun story. Another one I cleaned up was Marvel Spider-Man. Again, I had played the PS4 first, and then I got the PS5 version, got the platinum on that, and then needed to just clean this up in the DLC, so I went back and played that. After that, I played Marvel Spider-Man 2. This is the sequel to the Spider-Man game, just the first Spider-Man game and the Miles Morales, and this has you playing as both Spider-Man and Miles Morales Spider-Man to defeat Craven the Hunter, and then later on Venom. It's a good story. I think I still prefer the first game story because it's how emotional it was, but this one is just as good. It's a bit shorter, but longer than Miles Morales, and a very fun platinum to get. Hardest thing again is for completing 100% of the districts. After that, I went back to cleaning up some other PS4 games. Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Now this is a another one of the best Assassin's Creed games that they have made. It just follows the story of Edward Kenway, who's a pirate and who stumbles across like the conflict between assassins and Templars. And earning the trophy isn't overly difficult other than playing the main story. And you got to get 100% sync on all story missions, as well as just some naval combat, which was really fun, the naval combat. And then, oh yeah, this game had multiplayer. That's not hard. And it's still doable now, but it's a drag. So committed to the cause for reaching level 55 takes time, but uh, but that's the hardest trophy to get for multiplayer. All right, I moved on to the next Assassin's Creed game that I had not finished was Assassin's Creed Unity. Now, Unity follows the story of Arno Dorian, and it kind of ties in with like Black Flag and another Assassin's Creed called Rogue. And all you do in this one is you just kind of explore Paris during the French Revolution. And I don't think there was very many hard things to do. There is co-op in this game, which you need to do some co-op missions with other players to get the platinum trophy. So that's still viable now. You could still get it, but I think the hardest and most dragging thing was opening all the chests, all the treasure chests, because the lockpick system in this game is not that enjoyable. Yeah. Then I got Assassin's Creed Syndicate. This is the last Assassin's Creed game I played before having not played much of the series afterwards. Now, Syndicate just follows the story of two assassins, Jacob and Evie Fry, as they like try to liberate London and all its boroughs from gangs and Templars. So earning this trophy isn't hard at all. Just follow the story. It was made traveling in this game is made a lot easier because of the new grapple hook that lets you kind of go from rooftop to rooftop very easily. And I think the hardest trophy, maybe there's not, it's not, maybe there aren't any hard trophies, but destroying 5,000 destructibles with a carriage, it's just a drag because there's no way to keep track of it. But that's other than that. Moving on. Next, I have an amazing game that I took a long time to platinum. The Last of Us Remastered. Now, this game is critically acclaimed, and this version is a remake of the PS3, and it is amazing. One of the best things about this game is the story and the characters, Joel and Ellie. Um, Hardest stuff to do in this to get the platinum, you have to beat the game on Survivor and Survivor New Game Plus. You don't have to beat it on Grounded, that's a DLC trophy, but you just have to beat it on Survivor. And then there's multiplayer trophies, which aren't hard but take a long time and a bit to get accustomed to the multiplayer and how it plays. But once you understand it and you know it, it just takes a little time and you can get through. Uh, so that I finished that platinum off, and then I moved on straight to The Last of Us Part Two because I had not actually played that till last year. And in The Last of Us Part Two, this is the sequel, and it takes place 5 years after the original events of Last of Us Part One, where you play as Ellie primarily, and you go through the story, and it's a pretty intense story. It's basically like a revenge slash question morality story, and you still have all the zombies to deal with. So I won't say too much because I don't want to spoil it, but this is a very fun game, and there's a very notable part where you're in Seattle, and it's a bit of an open world part, and you get a trophy for seeing everything that open world portion of Seattle has to offer. All right. Next I have is Astro's Playroom. Now I went back. I had platinumed it already, and then I went back and I finished the DLC. But this game is it's a lot of fun. This is pre-installed in your PlayStation 5 when you get it, and I highly recommend everybody plays this because it's a bit of a it's a platformer that has a lot of like charming like throwback to PlayStation's history. And earning the platinum trophy shouldn't take you very long, like 4 to 6 hours maybe. But a lot of fun. Highly recommend Astro's Playroom. Next, I went back and then I platinumed Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor, which I got 100% on. I played this game back in 2014, but I never did too much. And then I just was a few trophies off. I had just beaten the story and I was a few trophies off, so I went back to play it and just to kind of enjoy the combat. This game was different for sure. It's a Lord of the Rings based game, which follows the story of character Talion, who is bonded with the Wraith of Celebrimbor, the one who made all the rings, the rings of power, that is, and together they just tried to take out all of Sauron's forces throughout Mordor. Uh, there's a cool system in here, which is the Nemesis system, and there's a lot of trophies tied to that. So that's basically what I had to go back and do. After that, I played a few multiplayer games, and then I really dove into Ghost of Tsushima. I got this platinum trophy for both the PS4 and the PS5, but in the PS4, I played that first, and this is a very great story that follows Jin Sakai through the Mongol invasion of Japan, and it's a it's got great combat, it's got great exploration. You don't have to do 100% the collectible, but you only need to do a certain percentage to get trophies, and then you don't have to do 100%, which is really nice. And hunting collectibles in this game is very easy because of the way they are able to be tracked and followed. So this game was very enjoyable. Nothing hard about doing this game, but I will say when I went back to do more, I ended up doing the Legends mode, and the Legends mode was a free DLC that got added on afterwards for like multiplayer co-op, and it has no business being free. It's so much fun, and I probably spend as much time doing Legends than I did doing the story and the DLC. So the hardest trophy, probably Transcendent, for completing all three raid chapters. And now that brings us to our final trophy, and that is for The Last of Us Part 1. This is the PS5 enhanced version of the PS4's enhanced version of the PS3. So This has a totally different trophy list than the PS4. So, and it's much easier. There are no difficulty trophies and there are no multiplayer trophies. All you have to do is just basically get all the collectibles. The one thing I'll say is that in this one, you get combined the DLC, which is the Left Behind, which was separate, and you have to complete the Left Behind DLC. But other than that, this is a very easy platinum and one that I highly recommend, and one that I'm actually making a video on. So be on the lookout for that. Well, that's a wrap for all the platinum trophies that I've earned throughout my PlayStation journey. Thanks so much for sticking around to the end of the video. It means the world to me. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more gaming content coming your way. I've got plenty of exciting things in store, so stay tuned. Anyways, take care, have an awesome day, and I'll catch you on the next video.